Hey, how's it going everyone, and welcome to the channel. Now, today's video is going to be a fun one, as we are going to be discussing the Star Wars movie that I personally believe we need the most. The movie I am referring to is a rated R Darth Vader movie. I have thought this would be a great movie to make for years, and I am very excited to share my thoughts on it with you guys. So, today I'm going to be taking you through the reasons I think it should be rated R, as well as a couple different ideas and versions on what the story could be. Real quick, if you aren't subscribed, make sure to if you enjoy the video, as I will be making more Star Wars content and also dive into other areas, such as the DCEU and MCU. So, if you're interested, don't hesitate to stick around. Alright, now that that's out of the way, let's get into the video. Okay, so one of the questions you may have is, why do I want it to be rated R? Especially when that will alienate some younger fans from maybe being able to watch it. Well, the reasoning behind it is pretty simple actually. The Star Wars movies have always been rated no higher than PG-13, which is great, as it allows pretty much everyone to watch it who would want to, and create a new generation of fans among the youth. This is fantastic, and I have no issue with this. However, with all the positive this more family-friendly rating brings, there is one enormous negative that comes also. They are never able to truly show really intense and brutal violence that a realistic Star Wars world would have. We see people get their limbs cut off and choked, but they never truly show much of anything. Darth Vader is pretty much the most powerful being alive during his lifetime. And the only real bad thing to say about the original trilogy is that due to the technology at the time, we never really got to see Vader display those powers on screen. We did finally get to see some of that in Rogue One, which was simply amazing. Now imagine what it would be like to see Vader like that throughout an entire movie. That is what I am pitching. It would be amazing, and I don't think there's anyone who wouldn't want to see that. Now, here's the other thing. Vader is also a man consumed with intense anger and hatred, and with all these emotions comes brutality. A rated R movie would allow Vader to cut loose completely and let his anger flow, and we could see how brutal he really is and why people fear him so much. I mean, he's regarded as one of the most evil men in the galaxy, and it would be interesting to see him committing the horrors needed to earn that title and instill fear in the entire galaxy. We could get a PG-13 version of this movie, and I would be happy, but as I said, it just won't offer the same experience to the fans as a rated R version would. Well, now that we've discussed why I want it rated R, let's get on to the story. Okay, so here we are at the most important part of the entire thing, the story. Because even though it would be amazing to see Vader in all his glory, it would be pointless if there wasn't a story to tell. So, what story do I think would be fitting for this movie, and when will it take place? Well, as you all know, Anakin fell to the dark side in Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith, and became Darth Vader. After this point, we chronologically don't see him again until his appearance in Rogue One, which takes place nearly 20 years after Revenge of the Sith. So, what was Vader doing during this time? Well, following his turn and Order 66, Vader became tasked with hunting down and eliminating the remaining Jedi across the galaxy. And there lies the plot of the movie. We would follow Vader across the galaxy as he hunts down and murders the remaining Jedi. It's something I've always wanted to see and think it would be a very entertaining and enjoyable story to follow. However, despite its awesomeness and the appeal to watch it that it would have, I see this as more of a secondary storyline. What I mean by this is that, yes, it will be at the forefront and be a major part of the movie. However, I believe there is a better story arc to pair with this that would truly be the driving force behind everything that happens in this movie. This story arc would be focusing on Vader's psyche and the conflict within him. Following his turn to the dark side, Vader loses control of his emotions, and this is one of the main reasons he loses to Obi-Wan on Mustafar. His own conflicting emotions made him unstable and unfocused. This in turn gave Obi-Wan the advantage in their fight, as he was laser focused and knew what he had to do and what he believed in. And this advantage ultimately led to him besting Anakin in their duel. Now, following his transformation into the Vader we all know and love, he would not yet have control over his emotions, and that would be what we focus on. You see, at his core, Anakin was a very nice and good person. However, once he was seduced by the dark side, he did some truly horrible things. The movie would focus on the regret, disgust, and shame he feels for all that he has done, and who better to convey these feelings than Anakin himself? I would love to have Vader haunted by a mental form of Anakin who just berates him and attempts to drag Vader back to the light by showing him the horrors he committed and people he betrayed. This could lead to unseen flashbacks to his assault on the Jedi Temple, as well as unseen moments between Anakin and Obi-Wan in an attempt to get Vader to embrace his past and the light so that Anakin could once again be in control. This is where the hunting of the Jedi would come in as the pair to this story. As Anakin attempts to crawl back out of Vader, Vader would hunt down and murder these Jedi in an effort to keep Anakin buried. As the movie progresses, Anakin will slowly get closer and closer to coming back, and due to this, we will see Vader become more and more angry and brutal to his victims in order to keep him at bay. This would ultimately lead to the climax of the movie, which would take place in Vader's own mind. It would be an epic showdown between Anakin and Vader. Winner takes control of the mind. Of course, after a while of fighting, Vader will ultimately and symbolically murder Anakin, and the darkness will completely consume Vader's mind, thus snuffing out the last bit of light left within him and ending any pull to the light he may feel. Or so he thinks, at least. At the very end of the movie, there would be something used to show that Anakin is just barely alive within him, in order to show that tiny bit left that Luke ultimately saw and used in order to bring Anakin back. Now, I get that this may seem like a strange movie or one that you maybe don't care about, but I am no screenwriter, so cut me some slack. This is just something I think would be a very interesting, entertaining, and complex movie. Now, if you aren't down for this version of the movie, don't worry, I have one more idea that you may like. Okay, so I have one last suggestion for the movie that I think would be very interesting to see. Now, while Vader would play a major role in this movie as well, he wouldn't necessarily be the main character. Now, I know what you're thinking. This guy says he wants a Vader movie, but he won't even be the main character? And the answer is yes, sort of. This second version of the movie will still take place during the same time as the other one, except we won't be following Vader. This version is more of a horror movie. Horror movies are insanely popular and they have several iconic figures. A couple of these are Jason and Michael Myers. The thing about these two is that they are pretty much relentless and unstoppable, and their main goal is to kill you. Remind you of anyone? You see, in this movie, instead of following Vader, we would follow a group of Jedi who escaped Order 66 as they are hunted down and killed off one by none other than Darth Vader. This would allow us to see how truly terrifying it would be to have him hunting you and how hopeless it would be to resist. There is a reason why he is feared the way that he is, and what better way to show it than to see him from the perspective of the Jedi, who, among normal people, would be regarded as extremely powerful beings, yet against him, they would be relatively powerless to do anything. Now, this idea isn't as fleshed out as the other one, mainly due to the fact that it isn't focusing on Vader as much, so there would need to be other characters in this film who the story would revolve around that I haven't really considered yet. Regardless, I still think it would be incredible and terrifying to see Vader be this horror-like, unstoppable presence. In my opinion, a Vader movie is one that the fan base desperately needs to see. He is the most iconic character from the entire Star Wars series and pretty much the absolute fan favorite. They need to do this movie, and it needs to be relatively soon because unfortunately, we won't have James Earl Jones around forever. Also, with the recent announcement of Hayden Christensen returning to Star Wars, now would be the perfect time to make this movie. So, what do you think? Are you interested in either of the movies that I laid out in this video? If yes, which one did you prefer? If you didn't particularly love my pitches for this movie, please feel free to leave your own ideas in the comments, as I would love to hear them. If you are interested in me going more in depth on how I see either of these versions playing out, let me know and I will get to work on it. Also, if you have any topics you'd like me to discuss, make sure to leave them in the comments and I will do my best to make it happen. Anyways, that is going to be it for today. I just want to quickly say that I really appreciate you stopping by and checking out the video. I really enjoy sharing my thoughts and interacting with fellow Star Wars fans like yourself. I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day, and I'll catch you in the next video. May the Force be with you.